Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. In this video, I'm going to take you through our latest CompuTec WMS innovations, and I'll give you a preview of some upcoming new features. From our recent developments, we'll take a look at TLS, CompuTec Gateway, catch weight management, document signatures, and I will also give you a quick peek at our upcoming stock counting features and our Android app. So let's start off with some technical improvements. We've added TLS, or Transport Layer Security. This is a protocol that allows encrypted data to be transferred securely between the WMS server and the WMS client. The next thing is that we've developed an application called CompuTec Gateway. It will allow you to run SAP Business One on a different infrastructure from devices like weight scales and printers, and then to manage those connections. This is something that's necessary if you are running SAP Business One in the cloud. I won't go into too much detail about it here, but it is very easy to use, and we do have a short demonstration video on our YouTube channel if you're interested. So let's move on to some new features now, starting with catch weight management. We've released phase 1 already, but we do have plans for 2 further phases of development, which I'll come back to in just a moment. So first of all, for anyone who's new to the topic, what is catch weight management? It's a requirement that most frequently occurs in the food and beverage industry, although sometimes businesses in the chemicals or pharmaceuticals industries might also need to use this feature. It's probably best explained using an example. So let's say we are a meat processing plant and we're dealing with pork joints. The joints, they arrive in our warehouse, and in the system, each joint is a unit. The thing is, in recipes and when calculating the value of our stock, we're often actually interested in weight. And with joints of meat, it's unlikely that every joint of meat weighs the same. So catch weight management is about being able to record the number of units and the weight of the units simultaneously. To show you how this works in CompuTec WMS, I'll just show you a quick transaction. Let's say I've received some big blocks of cheese from my supplier into my warehouse, and I want to create a goods receipt document. I'll just select the warehouse here and the supplier and the item. And now I'm going to record the goods that I've received by 2 units of measure. So in this case, I've got kilograms and blocks. But the units of measure are completely customizable. You can use whatever you want. For recording by weight, you can do this manually, or you can use weight scales for this. I'll show you the manual version first. Depending on the level of precision you need, you don't have to measure each block individually. For example, if I have 2 blocks which weigh 5 kilos in total, I can enter it like that, so kg5 and box 2. And this system will then regard that weight, those 5 kilos, as being equally distributed throughout however many blocks you want. So here we had 2 blocks, so each block will be recorded in the system as weighing 2.5 kilos in this case. You then press the save button to add the items. Maybe now I've got a bigger block which weighs 5 kilos, so I'll enter that, press save. If I want to create a new batch, I'll just generate a new batch number here and then continue adding all the received goods to the document. Then if I click here, I can see a list of all the blocks received, their batch number, their weights, and when I'm ready, I can just finish creating the goods receipt PO like this. Now, as I mentioned before, you can also use weight scales that are connected to CompuTec WMS to enter weight data. That's even easier than doing it manually. You just pop your item, in this case with boxes, on the weight scales, just press save, take that box off the scales, next one on, press save, and then keep doing that until we've weighed everything. And again, we can see all the boxes all listed here, and we can just finish creating the document. We've also changed things up a bit in the back end so that this will work better with CompuTec Labels. Previously, if you wanted CompuTec Labels to print labels or barcodes for the inventory you received, you would save the goods receipt PO, and at that point, the system would start printing the labels, which is fine if everything you want to label is the same. But here, we could potentially have hundreds of different items, each with a different weight. If all the labels were printed when the goods receipt PO was saved, we could have hundreds of different labels, and assigning them to the correct item would be a pretty onerous task, and it would be very difficult to complete it without making mistakes. So now you can set your label printing up so that when you enter the weight of each unit and save it, the label for that unit will be printed straight away. You can stick it on the unit you just weighed and then move on to the next one. I can very quickly show you how that works. I'll just add a couple of items to our goods receipt. And bear in mind that the goods receipt PO hasn't yet been added to our database. If I go over to my CompuTec Labels printing history, we can see that those labels have been printed. So in this current phase of catch rate management, phase 1, we support all of what I've just shown you for the transactions that you can see now on the screen. As I mentioned, we will be adding new features in the next 2 phases. In phase 2, we're planning to support catch rate management for storage units. We're going to add some tools for analysing the packages in your warehouse, and also some features to tie catch rate management in with production activities. And in stage 3, there'll be support for draft documents and the ability to manage changes in unit weight via plugin. So basically, if your unit changes weight during the time it's in the warehouse, which might be the case for certain products such as cheese, which over time might become a little bit lighter due to evaporation. The next new feature is document signatures. You now have the ability to add signatures to a number of CompuTec WMS documents. You can easily customize for which documents signature records will be kept, and you can choose whether a signature is required for the document to be saved or if a signature can be recorded optionally. The next thing I'm going to show you has not been released yet at the time of making this recording, but we do have plans to release it very soon, and that is our new and improved stock counting functionality. Until now, a stock counting document has been created by an SAP Business One user, and a list based on that document was displayed in CompuTec WMS. But now, you'll be able to create the stock counting document from CompuTec WMS, and the data will then be sent to SAP Business One. This is made possible by a CompuTec App Engine plugin, which runs background jobs that synchronise the stock counting data in SAP Business One and CompuTec WMS. It also supports inventory posting as well. To add a new stock count, we go to stock counting on the main menu, we click on the plus icon and enter a name for our stock count. Once you've done that, you'll see a list of all the open stock counts, and we choose our stock count from the list. We can either add items or storage units to our stock count using one of these icons here. We'll add some items first. You have to choose a warehouse on the next screen. Then we choose our item and then we add the quantity. You can also come back and change these quantities here later. There's support for batch managed items as well. After selecting a batch managed item, you'll get a list of all the batches of that item and you can choose one of them, or you can add a new one. And if you're adding a new one, we just enter the batch number here and then the quantity. There's support for items managed by serial number, so we just select it from the list of items and add the serial number. I've added these items manually, but we do have support for barcode scanners too. This icon here allows you to work with storage units. We have to enter or scan the SU code or SSCC here. That's if we want to use an existing one. Or we can add a new one using this arrow. We have to choose a warehouse and then we add items to our storage unit using the same procedure as before. We can also add a bin location to this storage unit. And we can also add sub-storage units to our storage units and then add items to the sub-storage units as well. When we're ready, we just click on the Save button, which will send this data to SAP Business One. And if we go to SAP Business One, we'll find an inventory counting document that includes the items that we just added. Initially, there will be the option to choose between the new and old versions of stock counting, but this is something that we may or may not change in the future. The last thing I want to show you is something that we're still working on, but that I know that a number of you will be interested in, which is an Android application for CompuTec WMS. So basically this will mean that you'll be able to use CompuTec WMS from most Android devices. We're still in the prototype phase at the moment, but I do have a couple of screenshots which I can share with you. But in all honesty, the final version will probably look rather different from this. So that's our update on CompuTec WMS for the last year. I'd like to finish off by thanking you for watching, and if you have any questions or need any clarifications, please just do get in touch with your CompuTec partner or with us directly at any time.